Good day, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, brothers and sisters. As promised, I'm doing a video on the constitutional amendment bill to try to reach as many Trinbagonians as possible. I've already put out a press release. You can check my Facebook page, and I can also direct Trinbagonian citizens to look at what Lasana Wired 868 has published. Listen to the views of every single person who is commenting on this bill. In order to have and to make an informed decision, you need to hear things from every side. And what I've done is made an effort to listen to both sides of this argument. People say that there are two sides to an argument, and then in between is the truth. I am opposed to this bill, totally opposed to this bill. There are a number of amendments that are being put forward. The main one that is the bone of contention for every single person in Trinidad and Tobago is this issue of runoff. It is not a small piece of legislation. It is being snuck in as though it is small, but it has a very great and damning effect on democracy in Trinidad and Tobago. First of all, as a lot of commentators have said, it was not brought up in consultations, and therefore, if you didn't address it when you were speaking to the people about these amendments at all, then how could you come and table it in Parliament and bring it as law when people in Trinidad and Tobago should have a right to at least know what they are going to be governed by. Further to that, we have seen clearly that in the House of Representatives that a number of members of this current government have voted against the bill. And that should signal to Trinbagonians that something must be wrong. Mr. Roger Samuel, who is a pastor, a man of God, clearly was directed by God to abstain. I mean, it's a weak position, but appreciated in some way. Mr. Dukran, who's a senior politician, Mrs. Sipasad Bechan as well, voted against the bill. This signals that there are definitely issues with it, and we should not take that lightly. Further to that, what is coming out in the substance of the bill is that it is going to probably, right? You cannot totally predict the behavior of Trinbagonian citizens. It may well be the case that overwhelmingly all the people in Trinidad and Tobago are going to reject the People's Partnership or the UNC, whichever runs for the next election. It may be the case that they may even reject the PNM wholeheartedly and choose, I know they keep calling the other parties, like the New National Vision, like the Movement for Social Justice, like whoever else is formed, the ILP, etc., smaller parties or minority parties, they keep labeling them in all sorts of ways. It may be the case that these smaller parties may be more attractive to the Trinbagonian citizen come next year election. But we have an issue in Trinidad and Tobago totally with our culture of politics. I feel as though this government is bringing legislation that is going to benefit them politically. They keep saying that they don't want the split of the vote, and this legislation is going to cause that. It's going to cause people in Trinidad and Tobago to feel as though their democratic right to elect or to choose, not just elect, but to vote for a smaller party is going to be wasted almost. And if you have listened to some of the narrations of members of this government, they've said that, don't waste your vote, don't split the vote. And they feel as though voting for the COP, voting for the ILP, voting for the MSJ, the NNV, etc., is splitting the vote and taking votes away from them, which they could use to get into power. Imagine that not just the UNC alone, but I feel it applies to even the PNM. Their main concern is just getting into power and then achieving the spoils, basically having the treasury to spend, being able to rob us collectively as a people. I don't think there's a doubt in any Trinbagonian's mind that this government has robbed, and I'll repeat it, that this government has robbed the people of Trinidad and Tobago of millions and maybe even billions of dollars. And I don't think there's a doubt, as was said before by the PNM parliamentarian, all our teeth, well, all of them, I don't think there's a doubt in the Trinbagonian mind that even the PNM and its members have robbed through corrupt dealings, through benefiting from their fiduciary positions, through just blatant nepotism and favoritism to their family members, their financiers, kickbacks, that they have robbed us of resources that should have been used for the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago. And it seems as though the culture of politics is that just do anything, even if it is to bring legislation, to get back into power and then steal some more. We, as a people in Trinidad and Tobago, have to stand up against this. Right? We need to let our voice be heard. We need to stop this culture of politics where PNM and UNC is going to divide us along racial lines just to attain power. Right? Regardless of which MP is chosen, be he PNM or UNC or ILP or NNV or whatever, the main thing that we need is representation, right? And you saw that people overwhelmingly voted at one point for Jack Warner in Chaguanas West because they felt as though, well, at least that is what was bandied about, that he represented that area, and that regardless of race, party, color, etc., he looked after the needs. Albeit that, he has a checkered past and a little bit shady, etc. And at least the part about representation was a breath of fresh air, and that is what I said at that point in time. We need representation. So what the UNC needs to do, and what the PNM needs to do, is not just to stop this legislation nonsense, but to drill in to their party people, their representatives, their members that listen. Regardless if you get into power on a PNM slate or a UNC slate, you have to represent every single person in that constituency. Just like Mrs. Bisessa, respectfully, and Mr. Rambachan and all the others need to understand in their minds, get it in their heads, right? That they need to look after the whole of Trinidad and Tobago, whether it is Indian, African, whether they vote for UNC or vote for PNM or vote for nothing, right? The wealth of Trinidad and Tobago belongs to all the people. So listen, get it together. Stop this legislation, first of all, because the people of Trinidad don't want it, right? We want representation. So stop talking representation. Get off your tails and work for all of Trinidad and Tobago now. You have that mandate, right? You have that mandate regardless if people voted for you or not. Serve the people like you say. And whoever is in government next year or whenever, learn that and know that. And people of Trinidad and Tobago, this is what we need to push. We want to see constitutional amendment. Yes, we want to see certain changes, but not these that are being brought forward to us, right? We want to see campaign finance reform. We want to see referendums where people in Trinidad and Tobago could have a say, where this bill that is going to affect us so seriously, we could decide and vote on it, right? How about that? Instead of every 5 years we just come and we see fireworks and big stage, and then you have very little choice. You know why people in Trinidad and Tobago, especially young people, are not voting? Because we feel as though it's the same nonsense, right? Step up, people in Trinidad and Tobago. Educate yourself so they can't take us for fools. Blessings to all Trinbagonian people. Read, listen to everybody. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow other people as well. And listen for substance. Ask our leaders for substance in what they say. Forget the gimmicks. Forget the stupid talk. Politics has to be informed. It has to be sensible. And we're making sensible decisions. Alright? Thank you all very much. Thank you for listening, viewing, and spread the word.